The Chevrolet Camaro track concept that bowed this week at the 2017 Geneva Auto Show may offer an unexpected glimpse into General Motors' future in Europe. In terms of what the Hot Wheels green-inspired Camaro means for Chevy's global lineup, however, the concept doesn't tell us much. It's merely a Camaro SS1 LE with a special green paint job, an 8-speed automatic, and a few bolt-on parts cribbed from the Body brand's accessories catalog. The 1LE sold here in either V6 or V8 configurations can only be fitted with a manual, so it appears Chevy is trying to court a wider audience interested in grand touring, rather than track use. Reading between the lines, it looks like Camaro is about to become a more significant player for GM in Europe. Long after the General made its plans to spray a Camaro SS1 LE green, swap in an automatic, and slap on enough postage to boot it over the Atlantic, the automaker confirmed that it will sell its European division Opel to French automaker PSA Group, the parent company of Peugeot, DS and Citroën. It's GM's version of Brexit, and it will leave only a handful of outlets selling specialty products like Camaros, Corvettes and a few Cadillac models in Europe. Soon, GM will be a niche player in the old world, and a sported-up version of its Camaro may inevitably be part of that future. The modern auto industry is a never-ending deluge of boring crossovers and family-hauling SUVs. As such, I've come to appreciate the cars that wear their insanity on their sleeves. The Civic Type R does that. It's a mess of vents and scoops and strakes and wings and bumps and edges. It has 3 center-mounted exhausts, for crying out loud. No, it's not as tasteful and under the radar as its predecessors were. You didn't have a clue what those Type Rs were unless you knew where to look. But you know what? Car design has gotten more boring over the years. The Japanese auto industry isn't cranking out gull-winged K cars and triple-rotor super-luxury coupes these days. Do you really want your $30,000, 306-horsepower track-ready JDM super hatch to look conservative? I'm good with the craziness. Enjoy these photos, you may feel the same when you're done.
Fast Honda fans should be pretty excited if not terribly surprised at this. The production 2017 Honda Civic Type R it's pictured here in Eurospec and is coming to the US in late spring. It'll be the first time we've ever gotten a Type R badged Honda, if you don't count the Acura branded Integra Type R, which is a special thing in its own right. Things get better from there. Under that NACA duct on the hood is a 2.0-liter DOHC, direct-injected, turbocharged, IVTEC inline 4 that makes 306 horsepower and 295 pound-feet of torque. Random thought, if this car was released in the 1980s, every one of those engine features would be emblazoned in decal form on the rockers. The script would have to be tiny. Since that engine packs a turbo, the torque band is relatively low and flat. Peak torque is available from 2,500 to 4,500 RPMs. While the setup is new to Americans, it's fairly similar to the last gen Eurospec Civic Type R. Based on the gauges seen in the pictures, redline appears to be 7,000 RPMs, so unlike the peaky naturally aspirated Type RS of yore, you won't have to wind it up into the stratosphere to make power. That's probably a good thing for around town driving, and in every other situation it'll depend on your perspective and preferences. There's one very important thing to mention that the Civic Type R won't have: an automatic. This sucker's manual only, and that unit is a 6-speed job. Honda is including rev matching for when you don't want a blip for yourself, but the shifting will be a do-it-yourself operation. As far as handling is concerned, the Civic Type R combines a dual-axis strut setup from the last Type R, which reduces torque steer and improves handling, adaptive struts, and a tweaked electric power steering rack with variable assist. It wears 20-inch wheels shod with 20-inch Continental Conti Sport Contact 6 tires, and stops using Brembo 4-pot front rotors, 13.8-inch cross-drilled front rotors, and 12-inch rear rotors. Torsion rigidity is up, and weight is down slightly compared to a base 2017 Honda Civic hatchback, 15 pounds, which isn't shabby considering the turbo and plumbing add a not insignificant amount of weight. Current sporty vehicle tastes require selectable driving modes, so the Civic adopts them. There's Comfort, Sport, which is the default setting, in Plus R, which affects steering response, throttle mapping, rev matching settings, suspension settings, and stability control intervention. The only available trim is Touring, so the Civic Type R comes standard with a 7-inch touchscreen, nav, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and a 540-watt sound system. The sports seats are standard, as is the leather-wrapped steering wheel, the leather shift boot, the aluminum shift knob and pedal set, and all the red accents you could possibly want in your most JDM dreams. While the new Civic Type R will be sold in the US, it'll be built in Honda's Swindon plant in the UK and imported. That'll be familiar to real Honda geeks as the source of the old EP3 generation Civic C hatchback of the early 2000s. Honda won't get too specific about pricing at this point, but expect an MSRP in the mid-$30,000 range. The Civic Type R will make its American debut at the New York Auto Show in April, which is probably very close to when it'll be available at dealers. We expect to see the car's American exterior, expect very minor changes, and finalized pricing and equipment. The long wait is over. Honda has finally taken the wraps off the new 2017 Civic Type R. Long anticipated by hot hatch fans, and notable for being the first Type R badged Honda to be offered officially in the US, the newest, hottest Civic doesn't stint on power or aggressive design. Indeed, it gets impressively close to Honda's previous Type R teasing concepts. That means big vents, angry red badging, a fairly huge rear wing, and suitably beefy wheels. Honda's changes are more than skin deep, mind. The body is 38% more torsionally rigid and 45% more bending right versus the old Type R, while an aluminum hood trims 15 pounds from the regular 10th generation Civic hatchback on which it's based. Meanwhile, there's a new 4-wheel adaptive suspension system with 3-chamber dampers, along with a new dual-axis front suspension setup with aluminum lower arms and steering knuckles to benefit high-speed cornering while also cutting torque steer. Honda gives the Civic Type R its own spring, damper, and bushing settings, and there's a retuned, adaptive electric power steering system with variable gear ratio. A helical limited slip front differential is installed, along with 20-inch aluminum alloy wheels with 245 30ths R20 Continental Conti Sport Contact 6 performance tires. Since you'll probably want to stop at some point, Honda throws in Brembo 4-pot aluminum calipers. They're paired with 13.8-inch cross-drilled rotors at the front, and 12-inch solid rotors at the rear. As for the engine, Honda has opted for a 2.9-liter DOHC, direct-injected and turbocharged IVTC inline 4-cylinder. That's good for 306 horsepower at 6,500 RPMs, and 295 pounds-ft of torque between 2,500 and 4,500 RPMs. A Type R exclusive 6-speed short-throw manual transmission with rev matching through auto throttle blips will be standard, using a lower final gear ratio for better acceleration response, and a new single-mass flywheel that Honda claims will cut clutch inertia by 25% over the old Type R. Inside, there's a new driving mode system which can be switched between Comfort, Sport, and Plus R. Each will tweak the steering and throttle response, along with vehicle stability assist and the adaptive dampers, together with the transmission's rev matching. Sport seats with extra bolstering will be standard, plus a leather-wrapped steering wheel and shift boot, aluminum shift knob and sports pedals, a red Type R driver's meter, and a serialized Type R plate on the center console. Honda will only offer a single trim level, Touring, with a 7-inch infotainment system with both native navigation and CarPlay Android Auto support. A 540W, 12-speaker audio system is also standard fit. Excited? You probably should be, and you're not alone. It's fair to say that the 2017 Civic Type R is one of the most eagerly awaited cars of the year, and all eyes will be on how all this technology translates to on-road appeal. That, though, we'll have to wait until late spring to see occur in the US. Final pricing is yet to be announced, but Honda says to expect something in the mid-